The national leader of the All Progressive Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has been elected candidate of the party to fly the party's flag in the next year's election. Tinubu pulled 1,271 votes, resoundingly beating 22 other aspirants to emerge the candidate. In his victory speech, the former Lagos State governor urged aspirants to join hands with him to beat the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 election. Kainde Amadu brings us the report.
From the entrance of the aspirants, it was clear a contest was at hand. In a charged atmosphere, 23 aspirants all presented their plans to the delegates.
I can lead our party towards the brightest future.
I want to tell Nigerians and the delegates who are here, don't vote for me if I'm qualified. When you are casting your vote, think of the roads you ply before you get to this point.
It is for these reasons that I present myself to you as the presidential candidate of our great party, the APC.
Straight to the elections.
40 boxes, 40.
And counting of votes.
Tinubu, Professor Sibanjo.
At the end of the day, there are 4 frontrunners with 1,974 votes between them. Of the 1,974 votes, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is in a comfortable lead with 1,271 votes. The stepping down of 7 aspirants for the national leader may have contributed to the wide margin with which he led his closest opponent.
I want to urge all my supporters, I want to urge all of you that believe in me, that have somebody that can do the job. You all rally around him to do the job. And it's no stranger to me. We have been together for quite some time. And that is Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Accord me the respect to offer the support you are giving me to my elder brother, Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
The vaunted favorite, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, scored 235 votes, while the suggested consensus candidate, Senate President Ahmed Lawan, scored 152 votes. Interestingly, former Transportation Minister Rotimi Amechi came second, trailing far behind Tinubu with 316 votes. Now that the primaries are over, the next thing is to strategize for the presidential elections, a fact that is not lost on the winner. The stage is now set for the battle between the 2 biggest parties in the Nigerian political sphere. From Eagle Square, Abuja, Kainde Amodu, Trust TV News.
That is the update from what happened yesterday that threw up another elephant in the race. Has been widely described by a lot of persons. Now we have a race of 2 major elephants. I wonder how the ground will contend with the rebels that would emerge from that contest. But we have also in the studio a member of the All Progressive Congress, Prince Mustapha Audu. I know him popularly from the social media as Mona Decom, who joins us to discuss the outcome of the APC presidential primary. And we hope to get political analyst Adeni Kunu to join us virtually from Lagos if the network permits. Given the rains and all the distortions, we've been finding difficulties trying to get him on board. We have Mona in the studio, one man whose political antecedents most of us within that age bracket are quite familiar with. The story of his father is also there in the memory of most of us who have followed political activities in this country for a while. It's a pleasure to have you in the studio.
Thank you so much for the encomiums. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. As somebody who has been around the activities that have happened in the last 24, 48 hours, if you like, that very energy-sapping process that gave birth to now the flag bearer of the party. Can you please, in a nutshell, take Nigerians through everything that played out? 1 minute it was Ahmed Lawal who was the presidential anointed. The next minute the governors had gone haywire challenging that purported announcement. And then the presidency came up to say, we have no anointed candidate, which of course, by the way, contradicts an initial stance of the president asking them to support whoever he anoints. And then let us not say from nowhere, because I think he has made bold, his intentions to lead this country. And then it turned out, as Ahmed Lawan would say in his congratulatory message, that he was the most popular candidate. Right. What exactly happened? Were you guys just trying to play with the heartbeats of Nigerians to give us some hypertension before settling for a candidate?
First of all, I want to say I'm so proud of my party, regardless of what everyone had thought or projected. First the convention and now the presidential primaries, which is also a convention. I'm glad to say my party has handled this very well. It has shown Nigerians the true essence of democracy, regardless of who is supported by whomever. We've shown that if you allow it go to the polls in a free, fair, and credible election, the popular candidate will emerge. And the party, when you go through that free, transparent process, whoever loses doesn't feel like a loser because they've actually been given that chance to express themselves. And you can see all the aspirants coming together to support Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu, who, God willing, is the next president of Nigeria. And I'm proud to say that I'm part of this process, I'm part of this great party, I'm part of this wonderful story. And also, everybody has always thought, you know, power being retained in the north. They saw what PDP had done rather than, you know, zone it to our brothers in the south, you know. So, yes, there were some leaders who felt that power should be retained in the north. But regardless, we allowed the process to flow, and Nigerians watched it live, and we were there, and we saw the entire process. And I'm proud to be part of this, and this is our story, and this is something young people can actually key into. You know, you can see your future being decided. Hard work actually pays. We can actually see this in progress. So I think it gives a lot of us confidence in the party and in the process and in the president.
Mona is one of us, and I'm going to put him on the stage at this point. We heard all kinds of stories, you know, in the days leading to that final event. We know how all the hotels in Abuja were taken over, and they told us how a certain currency became the currency of Nigeria for the period of this convention activity. The process we saw play out on television yesterday, you were there at the stadium.
Yes.
Was it influenced by the dollar?
To be honest,
I know you are a big man. You probably didn't need one.
I didn't see any dollars, you know. I heard the stories like everyone heard, but did anyone actually see any dollar? I think EFCC was around. I saw a lot of EFCC officials.
But we were not expecting the dollars to be shared there. It would have been too heavy to carry around the pockets, don't you think so? Now, moving away from that, I was just going to put him on the spot. But very importantly, we also listened to the national leader, now the party flag bearer, make that extemporal speech shortly after his emergence. What were the takeaway for you as far as those few minutes were concerned?
To be honest, I saw a lot of confidence flow back into our national leader. I think he was under pressure the last few days, just like you've heard speculations. Everybody heard speculations. And for someone who has had a lifelong ambition to do this, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong. And so it was a sense of relief more than anything. He spoke about the economy, about wealth creation, and I think that's where Nigerians can all come together and keep behind. We've gone through, just like Mr. President has said, his tenure was a period of tightening our belts, you know, so we've gone through that and we're looking for a bit of relief. We want, you know, to be wealthy again. We want to be proud as Nigerians. We don't want to go through this period of difficulty, and I think we have the right leadership to do that. So what I'm taking away from this is what was done in Lagos would be replicated in Nigeria. And I think that's prosperity, which is what we all want, you know.
All right. Well, I want to take us back still a little bit and talk about the process that you're so proud of.
Yeah.
The run-up to the process, just like he alluded to, there were lots of moving parts.
Absolutely.
Lots of stories changing by the minute, by the hour.
Yes.
Front runners changing, people dropping out, some people
Anointing coming out.
and some being anointed, some not being anointed, some storming out of meetings, all that.
Yes.
So my question is just like I've asked earlier, and I really still need to ask it again: is all this. All these wranglings that actually went on before the process and even during the process, because there were some undertones that they were actually seen, and even in the speech of the flag bearer, there was some venom in there.
More relief.
But there was some venom there actually. So how does all this now affect the party going forward? Because you have a campaign to mount.
Absolutely.
You have a campaign now to mount. So will it serve, because you need to fix whatever is broken, because something definitely is broken. Even if it isn't broken, it's shifted. So you need to reshift some things. So how important is it for you to reshift those things and mend those things that are actually broken?
I think you've asked a very pertinent question, and my response is, this is politics at its finest. You know, true politics allows for negotiations, midnight deals, you know, transactions, whatever it takes legally for you to be able to accomplish your goal. What I would say clearly is that nobody was stifled. Everyone was allowed to express themselves. Everyone, including Mr. President, has a right to have a favored candidate. But having a favored candidate and superimposing a favored candidate are two completely different things. So yes, different groups, different blocks had various candidates. Like they say, all politics is personal. It's about interest, you know. So therefore, people had different interests. But what was critical was the process free and fair, where people allowed equally to interact with delegates, where the delegates locked up in some mysterious location somewhere and brought in, where these delegates, fake delegates, where there ballot stuffing. So if you say no to all these things and every single aspirant was allowed to interact equally with all the delegates, every single delegate had a right to have their choice. In fact, while they were reading out some of these ballot papers, you could immediately tell which box that ballot paper, which state that was coming from, because of how, you know, the candidates or the aspirants that were in that race from that state would be called, would have more votes. But you can see clearly that one aspirant had a spread across board. One aspirant had a reach. Someone had been planning this all his life, you know. So if you allow this in a free and fair process, then it's easy to heal. I think it's very easy. There's no aspirant that came out and said, well, I was cheated. Well, you know, the delegates deceived me. No one. So it was your level of convincing people. How much time have you spent doing this?
Well, it's good to listen to Audu speak. It's quite fluent with his thoughts and makes it look like it was a smooth process all along. If you ask Nigerians, I'm sure they have their apprehensions about the whole, you know, delegates took a whole lot of meaning from the PDP's convention to the APC convention, to the extent that we would see people joke around the newsroom and they would come to me and say, Sunday, do you know how I can be a delegate? I wish I had answers. But slightly digressing from what has happened is one part of the speech that was important to me was the flag bearer's reaffirmation that he will find energetic young people from across this country to help him drive what will be a reformative kind of governance. Talking about young people, you would want to look at Audu. I know he was part of this process. It's interesting to see that even though the system did not pick him, he still come out buzzing and working for the party and cheering at what was the end result of the party. But talking about one of the issues that have resonated with a lot of us is finding young people who would drive governance into the future. who would take over from these persons that we have had around the corridor for just about forever. That the future belongs to you and you never see it. Every time you look at the future, it's the same faces you saw from the past. What is happening to your likes? The few of you that had come out had made brick walls, even from your own constituency. When I say your constituency, now people from your own age bracket. Is it a problem of the youth not finding the vehicles to ride on, or the youth not believing in the aspirations of the youth, or a complete disconnect, lack of interest from the political process entirely? Because, I mean, the last election, both the winning party and the one that came second have a total number far less than the total number of people who are eligible, youths that are eligible to vote. 60 million of them, and we have just 25 million people, participating, 25, 30 million people participating in the process. What is wrong with voter apathy around your cycle?
I think there are a number of issues affecting the process. First is internal competition. Young people feel as if, the spaces available are very few. So when you see another young person aspiring, you try your possible best to, set up roadblocks for the person. So that's one challenge that as young people, we don't understand that. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think this, our presidential primaries has also shown what building other people can do to your own aspiration. So that's one thing. Two, yes, we had a very beautiful, fantastic, free and fair presidential election, but I think on the state and local government level, we still need to work on this process. We're not perfect, and what makes us different is that we're willing to admit that, yes, there are problems, and we're willing to work towards resolving some of these problems. So you can see that the presidential was free, fair, credible, but if you ask in some certain states, you'd see that, it wasn't maybe the case. So some of these things also affect. So if you have a lot of support as well as young people, they also feel a bit of intimidation, so how far would this person grow? Would this person be able to listen to me? Would this person follow my personal agenda or my succession plan? So these are some of the things that affect the calculation rather than who is best for the people, who is best for Nigeria, and this also played out in our presidential primaries, but with a free and fair process, the people have the right to decide who is best for them, and that's what played out. So I think that still needs to, be inculcated in the process at some of the states. I would not say all of the states. There are some very fantastic states that showed beautiful example in including young people, and I'd like to mention Kwara State, for example. Kwara State was fantastic, and if you look at the lineup, you'd see young, qualified, well-exposed young people, so there's no intimidation there, and you see over the next few years how that would translate into the leadership process. So while you can see some other states that, some very, very, incompetent people, were preferred over others. So I think it's a process. So we are honest enough to say that, yes, we have some problems, and we're willing to work towards resolving it because we're not perfect. It'll be a lie to say we're perfect people. And
just before Ibrahim comes up, let me play the devil's advocate. We have seen some thoughts, from Nigerians suggesting that it appears the political class of old are beginning to regenerate themselves with their children and all. The stories of former governors whose children are now on the party ticket, either on the House of Rep tickets and all of that. So my question is in twofold. One of them is it wrong to have to have children of political elites, aspire and build a different political ideology? And the second question is, God rest his soul, your father. Do you think if he were to be alive today, your story would have been different? Would your political journey have taken off so soon? Were he still on the stage? Because I'm sure he would have still been on the platform.
To be honest, I think it's more a competence thing if you look at it on a grander scale. you require quality if you want your country to progress, you know. I'd use myself as an example. I studied both in Nigeria, in the UK, in the US.
That's right.
I have lived in so many countries. Personally, I'm a businessman, you know. I've done so many businesses. I'm in sports, I'm in agriculture, I'm an inventor. I'm the first Nigerian making electric cars in commercial quantity, you know. So yet I am still I'm a politician and I'm a son of a former governor. Does this make me not qualified because I'm a son of a former governor? A lot of people actually think that, you know. A lot of people think that, you know, I shouldn't be allowed, I shouldn't be given a chance to express myself. Yet if you look at me, or some other people will look at me and analyze, okay, this gentleman actually has quality, capacity, competence. If you do allow him, he may translate this into leadership. This may be the kind of leadership. I make cars, so if I were to be in office, I'd put factories producing, I'd be making tens of thousands of these cars. Is that a negative or is that a positive? In my perspective, that's a positive. But yet there are also some other people that feel that, okay, because my dad is or was, you know, you must give it to me, and their parents go ahead and do this without actually looking at competence or class. So I would think that it's about competence and class, you know. If you have what it takes, regardless of your background, you should be given a chance, you know. So that's what it is. People shouldn't feel intimidated. And if you look at it, a lot of Nigerians say, oh, look at the US, there's the Bush legacy, there's the Clinton legacy, there's the JFKs, you know. If you look at different emirates around the world, you look at legacies, look at the UK, you know, you look at the Queen's family and the generation, and people are proud. But when it comes to your own, you're not proud. You say, oh, you know, should I serve the father and serve the son? You know, but then how do you build the legacy if you don't allow generations to actually build on the legacy of what, you know, their parents have left behind? I want to live a better legacy for my children. I know the doors. I'm a young person, but because of what my dad has done, the doors that immediately open for me is unbelievable. You know, so why wouldn't I want to do more for my children? So by me doing more, Nigeria benefits. That's right.
Well, I have loads and loads of questions, but unfortunately time will not permit me to ask these questions. I just hope you are a friend of the house, and I know that whenever we call upon you, you will be here to actually give us all these insights. It's very nice to have you on the program this morning.
Thank you.
It's very eye-opening and enlightening as well.
Likewise.
All right.
And I love your balance, by the way. Two of you guys are the true definition of what Nigeria should be. Working in synergy, you know, bringing to Nigerians what you do best, you know. So, God willing, you know, you guys will continue to grow.
Well, we appreciate that. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, so that's how we're going to wrap it up on Daybreak for today. It has been actually quite eye-opening, quite insightful, quite analytic. So keep it with us tomorrow as we bring you another one on Trust TV. I am Ibrahim Yusuf.
Yes, it's been a pleasure having you on the ride. And let me say before my closing remark that do not forget, he lost the last one, but he will come back again. Mona did come. I am Sunday Michael Ogo.